This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the new Full Battle Rattle Studios.
And it is so great to be back here in the Tar Heel State. Thank you for that warm welcome. I so appreciate all of you coming out tonight.
Today we head to North Carolina. I'll be heading there this summer for vacation, but on the show today, we talk with State Senator Deanna Ballard. She was Palin-powered and rolled to victory in November. Today we check in with this strong conservative to see how things are going in the Tar Heel State and discuss her term as senator. She's pro-life, pro-military, and an all-around great American. Senator Deanna Ballard coming up. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines in Sarah Palin News. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tania Crowe in California, and a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is coming up from Texas. Kelly Carlson is on assignment, no on target this week. Looking forward to Kelly's return. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio, available at mamagrizzlyradio.com and now available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/fullbattlerattle.abq. She represents North Carolina's 45th District. Senator Deanna Ballard, elected in November to a full term after being appointed earlier in 2016. She is backed by Sarah Palin, and she is off and running in North Carolina. And right now we welcome Senator Ballard to the program. Senator, welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've had a very busy day today, but I'm excited to be on the air with you guys tonight.
Well, we're excited to have you, and, we were so excited that, after being appointed to your seat there in North Carolina's 45th, you were able to win a full term in November, and with a little Palin power behind you, and we wanted to check up on you and see how things are going there in the great Tar Heel State. And I'm going to be there for vacation in a few months, and a friend of mine is working down there now, so a lot of ties to North Carolina right now. But first of all, how are things going in the Senate? I know you're the Energizer Bunny. I mean, you're definitely high energy.
I am. I'm definitely a bit of a novelty around the Senate chamber in North Carolina, but it's been great. It's I'm very blessed to work with what a wonderful members in both the House and the Senate. But we have been very busy. It's been a very busy, I would even say, last year since I was appointed. But things are going well. We've actually just concluded. We just sent the budget over to the governor for him to sign. So hopefully that will happen very soon. And then that would actually kind of conclude our long session for this year, and then we'll hopefully break maybe in another week or so. So I think everyone's been a little bit exhausted from all the budget negotiations going on between the House and the Senate, but we are very blessed in North Carolina. We have a very strong economy right now. We had nearly a $580 million surplus over the past year, so we've been able to, really, really focus on a lot of our hardworking families and individuals here all across the state. So I think folks are really going to be pleased with what we roll out here in the next week, hopefully, and I think the governor should be pleased as well, but we will see.
A lot of times on this program, when it comes to the politicians that are guests, we talk to people on a national level or governors. But, you really stood out to us because, one, the Palin ties, but also just your strong stance on things when it comes to, being pro-life and being pro-military and just being pro-American. And something that, everyone was nervous about that election in November from a presidential standpoint. But there were other very important races as well. And yours was one of them. And, the fact that you're in the 45th, it always stands out to me with Trump being the 45th president, and you're in the 45th, and 45 was my football number. So I knew this was a good matchup.
Kevin, this is a very natural friendship we have going.
That's right. And we don't sleep. Neither of us sleep. So,
no, we don't.
But you are someone. You're young. You're a woman, a conservative. You're not afraid to speak your mind. I mean, this is exactly what we love on this show, and what Governor Palin, backs all the time. So, you hear the president talking about, draining the swamp and how things work as far as national politics. But what have you seen on a state level, and how hard is it to get things done? Because I mean, your state, like you said, you're in the minority. It looks like North Carolina is getting things done, and using some common sense along the way.
Exactly, and I think that's what I'm so happy about being a part of right now, this particular time. I am coming in at a time where I am one of the younger members in the Senate, but I'm also adding a nice, a fresh face, a lot of kind of new ideas, and really fostering a sense of teamwork. And it's been a lot of collaboration between other senators and even across the aisle, and in the Senate in particular, to really kind of develop some of the legislation that we have over the last 6 months, even because some of the legislation that we've worked on has been working on, folks have been working on it for over 2 years. So there are things that have finally kind of come to a head that we've been able, that I've been able to kind of be a part of and to kind of see, really the end result of some of that work too. But, I think it is important for people to recognize and understand that sometimes what the media may portray and what they may be saying or, conveying to the public, is a lot of infighting and a lot of just backbiting, a lot of back and forth. But I have to be honest with you. I'm not really one to have, a Pollyanna sort of worldview, but I want to be realistic, and I want folks to understand that, I work very well with even some of our Democrat colleagues. I think at some point there are issues like even such as education and even I would say transportation when it regards our infrastructure, that things that are just really kind of erase all sorts of lines and are really kind of common sense issues that affect everyone in the state and every district. So I do think there tends to be a lot more conversation and dialogue that happens behind the scenes that people may not be aware of, and a lot of, actually kind conversations. A lot of the rhetoric may be negative and may be kind of mean-spirited, but I'll be honest, if you disagree with someone, there's a very respectful, dialogue and discussion that happens. And that's not always the case, but I would say majority of the time, especially in the Senate, that is true, and that does hold true. So it's been nice to kind of, as a quasi-freshman, over this long session, to really kind of, be more involved in committee meetings and working groups and different task force kind of behind the scenes, and really putting our heads together, on what we can do for our state. So, that's just kind of where we are right now.
Well, that's another reason why we do like to talk to people on the state level from time to time, because when you see some success in a state like you're seeing in North Carolina, and like you said, the issues like transportation where you could actually work with Democrats and whatnot, these are things that Washington should take a look at sometimes, because, we see what's happening right now nationally with people trying to stop the president at every turn, whether they really agree or not. You have a lot of Republicans, backing down, as we've seen over the years in the Obama administration. So it seems as you go lower in government, people can work together. And Governor Palin's talked about this as far as not even having to have a title, but then when you do, she talked about when she was mayor of Wasilla, that's when you're talking about the potholes and the dog that's barking all night and things of that nature. So, I see you like your job too, Senator, because you're out there, with your constituents a lot. And some people think that, they work for us, but, you're working for the constituents.
Right. And I think that's what's also important to highlight is, what I do try to do on the local level is really, act as a connector, meaning not just a connection between Raleigh and the district, but act as a connector between the counties and the region, because sometimes I may know individuals or I have know of resources in other areas, and that can help another county. So lots of times it's interesting to note that things can actually get done and fixed to a degree, or a solution provided more even across county lines or even across town limits, just because of, maybe my awareness and my visibility to other resources and to other avenues. So I do try, I'll be honest, I do try to kind of take care of situations and take care of issues even at a local level before, it even maybe needs to rise to the level that we need to address it in Raleigh, too. So I just think that that's an important perspective to kind of keep in mind, because a lot of, I have some federal experience too, 7.5 years in federal government. There's a lot of good work that gets done on the state level, and then as you drill down into the local counties. So I just think we can't forget the legs that we all stand on, and that goes back to your very own community that you live in.
North Carolina lost a hero recently, and you were able to pay your respects, and I just felt it's important to give him some airtime here today, if you will. Tell everybody where you were yesterday.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That means a lot. So yesterday, actually, I was able to participate in a funeral for Sergeant Dylan Baldridge. He was a 22-year-old serving in our Army and was just killed recently in Afghanistan on June 10th. And, he actually left behind siblings, a mom and a dad, and a fiance that he had met along the way. And he was scheduled to be home in mid-July, and he's a young guy. When people were talking about him, that he just had this infectious smile. He was often the one in his unit trying to kind of cheer everyone up whenever they're out there serving, and it's 130-degree heat and temperatures, and everyone's ready to come home. I mean, he was kind of the lighthearted, and always really, just standing right next to his brother in uniform, and just right there really kind of supporting him. And he really is, a hero. And I think lots of times we don't maybe acknowledge that or pay enough respect to that like we should. And I just have to say I'm super, super proud and humbled of how Ashe County, and that was where the funeral was held, and that's just where he was laid to rest, how they really came out and really just showed their love and their thankfulness and their gratitude. Folks actually shut down businesses. They were aligning the sidewalks. I mean, when the funeral procession was going by, folks just were out there standing with their flags. It's a great way to honor him. I mean, he served our flag, he honored our flag, and yesterday it was just beautiful to see how our flag was honoring him as he was driving, or as he was being transported down the road. So, just so many families. I mean, my brother served in the Navy, so I come from, somewhat of a military family, and just to know the sacrifices that they make, each and every day, I just think it's important for us not to forget that and not to neglect that. So I'm very proud of how North Carolina has really just kind of honored him, and I plan to probably have a senatorial statement read in his memory and celebrating his life this coming week on the chamber floor too. So just, everything that we can do to really support the family and come around them and really just uphold them and not just sort of brush it off and move on about our day, but really kind of take it to heart because there's still so many families. And, like I've said before, I mean, for some families, every day is a Memorial Day. And so just really kind of keeping that perspective in mind as you try to continue to strengthen them to move forward one day at a time. So thank you for a few minutes to honor him. That means a lot.
Well, it's an important reminder to everyone of what's still going on overseas in so many places, and that people are so affected and families who are losing people. And I just saw how heartfelt and how genuine it was, your concern about this man. And, it made me think of Governor Palin going to Chris Kyle's service on her birthday, and then Donald Trump just this past Flag Day, his birthday, dealing with the Scalise situation. And, we need more of that, people who respect the real heroes. And we appreciate you doing that, Senator. Listen, you're great. We'd love to have you here again. It was great to talk to you. And again, we're going to be in North Carolina in August. And you got to root for my new favorite, well, except for the ones I work for, but one of my favorite minor league teams now is the Down Eastwood Ducks in Kinston, North Carolina. Our good friend Howard Johnson is the manager of that ball club. So, we're rooting for them in the Tar Heel State, and we thank you. And you can please, can you talk to New Jersey and Illinois and Massachusetts and California and give them some tips along the way?
Yes, I certainly will. I do have friends in other state legislators, and they kind of reach out sometime, and they're like, we look to North Carolina to see what you guys are doing. So that's exciting to hear, and it's nice to know that we are paying attention to what's going on, and so we live in a great state. I'm honored to serve.
And in some of the states, they say we look to see what you're doing and completely ignore it and go the liberal route anyway. Unfortunately.
That's right.
Well, somebody's got to be the better state. Senator, thank you so much. We'll talk again, I hope.
Certainly. Let me go water my plants now.
Yeah. How dare you neglect them for your constituents?
All right, Devin. Have a good night.
For more on Senator Ballard, check out ballard4nc.com. That's Ballard, FORNC.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin news, headlines, and more about Governor Palin. Governor Palin wishes a happy Father's Day to her dad and all the other amazing dads out there. Keep soaring, Todd Palin. Happy Father's Day from your whole tribe. Palin's dad, Vladimir Putin? There's an explanation. Keeping the Scalise family in our prayers. Almost 3 million people have sent the media a strong message. Prayers to Otto Warbier's family. Tired of whining? Say suck it up, Cupcake, by wearing this great T-shirt and supporting Operation Heal Our Patriots. Get yours at merchful.com/Sarah Palin. Congrats to our friend Karen Handel for making history, the first woman Georgia has ever sent to Congress. Make America Great Again. Still waiting on the media to talk about glass ceilings with Handel. Rachel Maddow makes the dog ate my homework excuse look good. More jealous, motivated attacks at Tim Tebow. Unhinged celebs get more unhinged. Rock on, Sammy Hagar. And big thanks to Governor Palin for highlighting my piece on Billy Joel. Don't miss it at sarahpalin.com. The Piano Man speaking a lot of common sense. You'll want to read this one. To read about all of these stories, visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety and to read her devotionals, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and don't miss the news, sarahpalin.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tania Crowe.
Thanks, Kevin. So I have got to tell you, this week has been very heartbreaking for me, and also a call to action as far as being a mother and raising a child in this new generation of kids, and trying to really find my way of how I'm going to support her in her efforts and her abilities and her capacity to be a self-governing, responsible, balanced young adults in the world. With the attempted assassinations of our Republican congressmen, and seeing the attempt of people to start to look inward, to be more self-reflective, of course put into motion where I am irresponsible for words that come out of my mouth, how I do function in the world, and what kind of effect that has on others and society as a whole. And it's pretty incredible how easy it is to fall into a victim consciousness. Nothing is satisfying. No matter how much you feed it, it's a bottomless pit. And I actually heard Ben Carson earlier in the week talk about his HUD endeavors. And he spoke about nurturing the urban communities to the point where you have tenants that are living in buildings where you actually empower them to want to own that building one day versus just get them by month. And it was mind-blowing to me. It opened my eyes, and it was so beautiful and so inspiring to see a man who did pull himself up from his bootstraps and is one of those kids that ended up being a property owner and a super successful doctor and having this amazing career. So he knows that it's possible, but he was saying how you need to plant that seed early on, that unfortunately the way that we've handled a lot of these situations, you actually diminish and make small people's desires, and therefore the reach that they have for themselves gets minimized. And I think a lot of times when it comes to the left and the left demonize the right for lacking compassion when we are attempting to empower others by not giving them as much, by ultimately teaching them how to fish instead of just giving them a plate of fish day in and day out. And that is very heartbreaking for me. And this new generation of kids that are coming up, to be able to recognize the difference and to see the sham that has been going on for decades by the left in painting a picture and a portrait and demonizing those that are trying to truly empower people to be more and do more and receive more. This is Tania Crowe with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tania Crowe on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
What is wrong with Democrats today? Are you as mad as I am of the farce that's happening on Capitol Hill? These people are pathetic. They literally cannot allow Trump to succeed, nor his administration. Because if Trump succeeds in bringing about sweeping tax reform that unleashes businesses and creates millions of jobs, or gives the American people back more of their hard-earned money, or builds a wall to keep out illegals, and cuts regulations and bureaucratic red tape on and on, the Trump administration will have helped kill progressivism and the job-killing, liberty-stealing control policies of progressives. And at this point, the Democrats are behaving like wounded Alinsky animals, and they cannot allow Donald Trump to succeed. Mark Levin had an extraordinarily compelling show at the end of last week that gave 3 simple points on the ridiculousness of the obstruction of justice investigation against President Trump. Point 1, there is no evidence to justify the investigation. Point 2, the President of the United States cannot constitutionally be charged with obstruction of justice. Point 3, the elements of obstruction are not present. But the Democrats, they don't play by the civic rule book or the Constitution. They're playing by Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, which call to divide and polarize and continue to drive it home, even if it is not true. Remember, Democrats today believe the ends justify the means. There is only one purpose for Robert Mueller's investigation, and that is to hand the Democrats anything they can possibly use to try to impeach the president. This isn't justice, it's injustice, and it is today's style of politics. Because even if the Democrats can't impeach Trump, they want to create enough doubt and discredit him so badly that Republicans will, in effect, have a difficult chance of winning in 2018. However, I believe this is all going to backfire on the Democrats, because I believe the American people are much smarter than they're given credit for, which is exactly why we need to punish the Democrats in power at the federal level. If the American people right now should be totally outraged. Robert Mueller has hired Clinton and Obama folks to come in and work with him against Trump. This should be concerning to millions of Trump voters who elected a man to work for us. And as a matter of fact, he hasn't been able to work at all because the Democrats are doing everything they can to obstruct real justice and obstruct the will of the American voter. And for that alone, every single Democrat on Capitol Hill is unfit for office. From my perspective, they're acting in a treasonous way, harming the American Republic and the American people, willfully doing harm to the American public and the American people by not letting the president do his job. Right now, the Republicans should be hell-bent on passing a full repeal of Obamacare in the Senate, cutting taxes, completely revamping the tax system, going forward with building the wall, protecting the border, deporting anyone who moves and doesn't have a green card, and as radio talk show host Steve Deace said, kill lots of terrorists. Boom. Trump needs to start governing, regardless of what is happening around him and the fake news and the fake investigations. I mean, to be quite honest, he could actually take a out of the playbook of Bill Clinton, who had multiple scandals in his administration, and he kept on governing. This is why the Convention of States movement is so compelling to millions of Americans, because when you look at Democrats who have lost, they're supposed to have zero power in D.C., but the Republicans don't know how to govern and have therefore capitulated to the Democrats over and over in the last 6 months. This is why there's even a special counsel. The Republicans capitulated to the Democrats. This is why Devin Nunes stepped down from the House Investigation Committee on Russia. He was getting close to showing the people there was no there and got slapped with ethics violations and came under investigation himself. What's interesting, though, is the fact that the example is he was investigated by his own person. His own person, House Ethics Chairwoman Susan Brooks, is an Indiana Republican who allowed the investigation of Devin Nunes to go forward instead of saying, no, this is just the Democrats' spilled milk, crying foul, and we're not going to allow them to do this. You see, the Ethics Committee, for example, has multiple ways it can open an investigation into a member of Congress. Through complaint, a resolution of the House, referral from the Office of Congressional Ethics, or by a decision of committee members to investigate one of their colleagues. This is what's so crazy. The Democrats, folks, circle their wagons for their own liars, cheaters, murderers, rapists, while the Republicans will do everything to distance themselves from one another if they think it will help them win a re-election. What we are seeing is that political gridlock in D.C. is alive and well. Quite frankly, the Democrats are outsmarting the Republicans at every turn. The difference I see is that Republicans have not planned for governing, and the Democrats are willing to use any means necessary to bring down the current administration. Republican leaders are weak and have basically neutered themselves. Paul Ryan, it's time to man up and stop the nonsense. Get it going, man. Now, obstruction? Loretta Lynch did give Comey a directive, and he followed it. That is to not bring up charges or an investigation against Hillary's emails. We're talking Bill Clinton meeting Lynch on the tarmac at an Arizona airport. There's example after example of the Obama administration and obstruction of justice. The American people now need to step up and recognize this is not a failure on the liberals' part, but an absolute failure on Republican leadership in the Congress. Why aren't Republicans standing with their president? Did you know that the Republicans have all the power to stop this? President Trump, please, please, it is time to rein in the power of the federal government and turn it back over to the people. If the Republicans won't do it and you can't do it, don't worry, the American people will do it. We are coming for Capitol Hill. The time is now to put these corruptocrats on notice that they work for us and we want our power back. What do you think? Tweet me at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. The vision of the founders was to never surrender our sovereignty, and it's time we get it back, and we can with the Convention of States and Article 5. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, On Target, and The Crow's Nest, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. And like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook, and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Shola, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to breitbart.com/columnists/Kevin-Shola. I'm also contributing to sarahpalin.com. Please check out my latest piece this week on Billy Joel. Visit sarahpalin.com/author/Kevin-Shola. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tania Crowe, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Can't wait for Kelly Carlson to be back. And thanks to Deanna Ballard. Thank you for listening today as well. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit facebook.com/FullBattleRattleABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Shola. Have a pleasant day.